I'm diving into Google AI Studio's new Vibe coding upgrade, and I'm not just narrating features. I'm breaking down what this means for how we build real apps, live in the browser, with AI as a co-pilot. If you've ever tried to turn a prompt into production code, you know the gap between idea and actually running in prod is where most people stumble. Today, I'm unpacking the Vibe coding overhaul, the Antigravity coding agent, and the Firebase-backed utilities that promise to turn raw prompts into usable, multiplayer-ready, authenticated apps without leaving the studio. What this really changes, in my opinion, is the workflow psychology of building software. Previously, you'd sketch a prototype, map out data flows, and then bolt on auth, storage, and orchestration. Now the tool aims to detect when you need a database or a login, provision Firestore and Firebase auth for you, and stitch in modern web tooling like FramerMotion or Shagn with a few prompts. What this really suggests is a shift from write code to feel productive to prompt, and the tool fills the scaffolding while you steer. That changes not just speed, but how teams conceptualize ownership and iteration cycles. First, let's talk about multiplayer and real-time capabilities. The claim is you can spin up real-time multiplayer experiences, collaborative workspaces, and shared tools with immediate user connections. My take: the pressure point here is latency, consistency, and security across sessions. If the agent wires up real-time syncing via a shared canvas or lobby, you want to see how it handles conflict resolution, state reconciliation, and offline mode. The bigger trend is collaboration as a native feature set, not an add-on. If AI Studio is handling the heavy lifting of real-time infrastructure in the background, we might see more product teams shipping complex cooperative experiences faster, with less bespoke backend engineering required. This could push a new norm where tiny teams compete with big studios by focusing on UX and game design rather than plumbing. On databases and authentication, the automatic provisioning of Cloud Firestore and Firebase authentication on approval is a powerful guardrail. What makes this really interesting is the implicit trust shift. You're outsourcing data layer security and identity management to a platform that's tightly integrated with the prompt-to-production flow. In my view, this raises a deeper question about control versus convenience. Yes, it accelerates prototyping and reduces boilerplate, but it also concentrates critical security logic in a single path. People often underestimate how tricky permission models and data governance are at scale. The takeaway: expect more rapid MVPs, but also more attention to security reviews and data access patterns as you scale beyond prototypes. Connecting to external services and handling API keys with a secrets manager is another big leap. The tool detects when a key is required and stores it safely. That's smart, but it nudges developers to think in terms of service ecosystems rather than isolated apps. You can plug in databases, payment processors, or Google services like Maps with a prompt-driven flow. The broader trend here is composability, building apps as ecosystems of services orchestrated by AI tooling that understands dependencies and credentials. What people misunderstanding this might have is assuming this makes all security concerns vanish. It doesn't. It just moves them into the centralized management surface. Plan for rotation policies, least privilege access, and credential auditing as you scale. Next, the expanded framework support stands out. Beyond React and Angular, Next.js is now out of the box. That signals a clear tilt toward production-ready, server-side rendering-friendly apps and better SEO, performance patterns, and hybrid rendering. From my perspective, this reduces the friction of choosing a modern stack and aligns with how teams actually deploy today. The deeper implication is tooling parity. If your AI-assisted flow knows Next.js conventions and can nudge you toward best practices, image optimization, API routes, ISR/SSG decisions, you'll get closer to truly production-grade results with less manual rework. The user journey piece, picking up where you left off across devices, is a powerful usability lift. It solves one of the nagging pain points: momentum. The reality is most creative blocks aren't about the first run. They're about returning after a break and picking up the thread. If the studio preserves session state across devices, we're talking about a more continuous personal workflow, which could change how we structure work sessions, collaboration, and even team handoffs. Now, a big eye-opener. The idea that you can start from a prompt and land on production-grade software quickly, with built-in support for Next.js, multiplayer logic, and real-time collaboration, hints at a future where AI copilots shift from assistants to co-founders. What this really suggests is a broader shift in software culture. Fewer startups might need large backend teams to prove a concept. Instead, you seed with AI-driven scaffolding, then invest in design polish, user experience, and monetization. That's both exciting and terrifying for traditional development roles. It could democratize app building for individuals and small teams, while also demanding new quality gates as outputs scale. From a practical lens, I'd test three things first if I were building today. Real-time reliability. Push a scenario with many concurrent users and see how the agent handles latency spikes and state drift. Security posture. Spin up an app with Secrets Manager and Firebase Auth, then test credential rotation and access controls under a simulated breach. Cross-framework ergonomics. Switch between React, Next.js, and Angular prompts to gauge if the agent's recommendations stay aligned with framework idioms and performance patterns. One thing that immediately stands out is how the tool aims to turn prototyping into production-ready in a prompt. If you take a step back and think about it, that compresses the path from idea to deployment to a fraction of the traditional timeline. It also means more emphasis on the design of prompts themselves. Crafting prompts that guide the agent to make correct architecture choices, secure defaults, and scalable state management will become a critical skill for builders. A detail I find fascinating is the notion of a built-in human-in-the-loop mindset baked into the flow. While automation handles routine wiring, you're still validating structure, security, and UX at every step. It invites a new collaboration model. You're not just coding. You're curating a living blueprint that the AI fills. Then you review, refine, and evolve. That dynamic could redefine how we teach software engineering, emphasizing prompt engineering, system design literacy, and critical evaluation of AI-generated code. To wrap, this upgrade isn't just a feature bump. It's a reimagining of the dev workflow, more fluid, more integrated with real-world services, and more oriented toward immediate production outcomes. If this accelerates you from spark of an idea to a live, interactive app, we're looking at a future where building software becomes more like storytelling with a live orchestra backing you up, rather than hammering out every note yourself. So what do you think? Are AI-assisted studios like this the democratizing force your team needed? Or do they introduce new risk vectors that require careful governance? Drop your thoughts, experiment ideas, and the prompts you'd love to test in the comments. And if you want a quick side-by-side walkthrough of setting up a sample app with multiplayer features and a Firebase-backed login, I'll pin a follow-up video with a hands-on demo. Until then, I'm curious, what would your dream production-ready app look like if the AI handles the scaffolding and you own the user experience?